Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Cade, and welcome back to another star-studded episode of Behind the Velvet Rope Live. We're taking you to the hottest events in New York City, and we have the one and only Taylor Hicks joining us in studio. Here's a sneak peek. On this episode of Behind the Velvet Rope Live, we are on the red carpet of Ewan McGregor's directorial debut, American Pastoral. We are back at Paley Fest with the cast of Quantico, Gotham, and The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Though set in 1969, Amazon's new series, Good Girls Revolt, could not be more timely, and we talk with the cast about its relevancy. Some of TV's best join us at the Broadcasting and Cable Hall of Fame. Hamilton's Brandon Victor Dixon, Gilmore Girls' Unique Truesdale, and Ash vs. Evil Dead's Ray Santiago all stop by our studio. And get excited because Taylor Hicks joins us live to talk all about his new show, State Plate. All that and more on Behind the Velvet Rope Live. I told you guys it was going to be a star-studded episode, and what better place to start than with one of the most beloved actors of our generation. I mean, this guy has done it all. Blockbusters like Star Wars, acclaimed theater roles, great indies. I'm talking about Ewan McGregor. But one thing he has not done is become a director. But he can check that off his list now because he is now a director with his new movie, American Pastoral. It's been making the rounds across all the festivals, and it's coming out. I chatted with him and the brilliant cast about what to expect. So why this story? What was it about this novel from Philip Roth that drew you to make it?
I was drawn to it initially by John Romano's script. I hadn't read Philip's novel when I first read this story, and I was drawn to it as a father of girls. I've got 4 girls. This is very much a story about a father-daughter, and I was drawn to it because of that.
What is it like? Obviously, you're in front of the camera your whole career. What is it like actually getting behind the camera? The process, was it difficult for you? Did you just slide in like a bicycle?
No, I loved it. I feel like I've been paying attention to directors for 25 years. You know, I've been watching them and learning from them, and so it was quite a natural progression for me.
He was a wonderful director, honestly. His first priority was to make the actors feel comfortable, and that's just what he did. He's amazing, and I'm really thrilled to be a part of his first time directing.
What are people going to get when they see this movie? What do you hope they get?
I hope people get moved. I hope people are walking out of the theater impacted in some way to ask questions about their own lives, their own dreams, their own American dream. Ask what is the American dream, and have we achieved it, both as an individual or as a culture?
All right, guys, this movie has been making the festival rounds. It is terrific, and it's based on an incredible Philip Roth novel by the same name. And it opens October 28th. When you got a cast like that, you've got to go see it. So hit the theaters and go see American Pastoral. Next up is a TV show that continues to keep its incredible popularity. I'm talking about Fox's Gotham. And I mean, it's like one of the coolest shows on television. It's like watching a movie every single episode. There's never been an origin story on Batman, and especially one that centers on Commissioner Jim Gordon. I'm such a Batman fan. Well, they headlined Paley Fest this year, and I caught up with Ben McKenzie and the entire cast, and they told me all about it.
So this season is entitled Mad World, or Mad City, and it's about Gotham sort of coming unglued. And the Mad Hatter, played by Benedict Samuel, is at the center of that. And it's about sort of the city descending into the chaos that ultimately manifests in Batman. So it's a rapid descent into utter anarchy, and Jim Gordon is right at the center of it.
Well, you're getting a real look into the main character's kind of deepest, darkest fears, and I think we've seen that already in the interaction with Ben McKenzie's character and my kind of clashing.
You know, alliances shift and move. It's a lot of Ed and Penguin. I mean, Nigma and Penguin getting more crazy and more sick and twisted, and so it's going to be, dark, good fun.
Now I'm just having so much fun because I love how Edward has evolved and changed, and he's, terrifying, and I'm enjoying it.
You take such joy in being evil. You
who doesn't?
Dark side.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
How about you, Penguin Robin? How much fun are you still having with this character?
It's a blast. I mean, it's to be able to be in a show like this and to play a character that's been around for so long and then to be able to like put your own personal spin on it and have, you know, get a lot of amazing feedback from people who watch the show, and they're just like, I never thought of the Penguin this way. Like I just never, you know, and that's so gratifying.
Being part of the franchise, do you find yourself being a bigger fan with the movies?
You know, I'm supportive of DC. They've clearly been great to me. I was in the first Marvel movie they made, Blade. So, and I was in Ghost Rider. So you know, I'm down with Blade. I'm down with Marvel. I'm down with DC.
All superhero stuff, first off, is great because I love superhero stuff. I'm a comic book nerd, geek. Sorry, I'm a comic book geek. But to be in the DC universe is great because they're still building it. They're still really organizing it. So it's like we're at the beginning of a really great conversation.
All right, guys, if you're not one of the many millions of people watching Gotham on Fox, make sure to watch it because it's on every single Monday at 8, 7 Central. It's a great show, so check it out. Speaking of great shows, I'm so excited about our in-studio guest this week because he's got a great show coming out. Everybody remembers Taylor Hicks from winning American Idol. Now he's got a new show coming out called State Plate. We're going to talk all about it. All right, Taylor, so happy you're joining me, man.
Good to see you again.
So we were just reminiscing. The first time I ever met you, but it was the last time I saw you, so those were the same times. We were at the vinyl red carpet for HBO. Dude, I'm so sad that show got canceled.
What a party. What a party that was.
It was a good party. We should just forget the interview. I want to go recreate that party.
That was a good one.
Dude, you got a great show. I'm like so jealous. You get to travel around and just eat. It's pretty cool.
You know, I never really had any idea that foods from all of these different states are so wonderful. I mean, iconic foods that come from each state. I mean, it's a great gig, but it's also educational. I love being able to go into all of these different states and talk about these iconic foods that just come from these states. I mean, you've got Chicago-style pizza. You've got all of these wonderful foods that come from this great country.
So how does a guy known for music end up getting a TV show about food? How does this process work?
I think a lot of it's Alabama. You know, you grow up in the state of Alabama, you cannot not be a foodie. And, you know, it's a natural progression of just me traveling and touring as much as I have. And then all of a sudden it got into, you know, owning a restaurant, owning Saul's Barbecue in Alabama in the South. And then the next thing you know, it's on the road, you know, being a food and travel host. And that's something that, you know, I've always wanted to do. And this concept, State Plate, it's a killer one.
When you get to go around, obviously people, so many millions, you were on American Idol during the heyday of American Idol when so many millions of people were watching that show. As you're going around, it's not like you're just a regular host. Are people like, oh my God, that's a dude who won American Idol? Like, what are the reactions you get when you walk into these places?
Well, when you go into the heartland of the country, I mean, obviously that show was so big at the time that I won. When you do show up at some of these small establishments, you do have a couple of Beatles moments, you know, where the whole town comes in and hangs out with you. But that's what's great. I mean, that's what makes up State Plate is because we do go into those small towns where all of these great foods come from.
When you won American Idol, what does that do for your life? You know, you see all these shows now, man, and it feels like even The Voice, as much as I love The Voice, they're not producing people who have had success with music. But you had success. What is it like for you coming off of that? Like, walk me through that experience, because I'll never experience it because I have zero talent, but what was it like for you?
You know, shooting out of a rocket ship, I mean, when you're on a show, luckily for all of us that were on American Idol, you know, during the former seasons, the first 5 or 6 seasons, you know, we were the only show of its kind. So everybody was watching. And to be able to jump off of a platform that's that big at that time, and you really, all I wanted to do was really be an entertainer. And I spent a lot of years trying to get there, and to be able to have that platform was a really blessing. I mean, I'm a decade in show business.
Before we got started, you were talking with my producer. She came up to you and she said that there was a performance on the Capitol steps for, I think it was 4th of July, and you were performing, and it just got me thinking. I'm like, you must have had so many ridiculously crazy moments ever since the American Idol win. With putting the American Idol win aside, what was the coolest freaking moment you got to live?
You know, I think one of the greatest moments for me was getting to sit in on harmonica and sing with Willie Nelson at Red Rocks in Colorado, which is, I'd never been to Red Rocks, one of the greatest music venues in the world. And I was asked to sit in, and I'd realized at that point in time that I was able to at that point go and sit in with some really great musicians, and luckily I was able to do that. But you know, a lot of people ask me that same question, and I always like to say that it's not really about how many records you sell or how many shows you put out, but it's about how many lives you touch. I mean, some of the charitable stuff that I've been able to be a part of and kind of carry the torch for doing the better good for people. I think that's my moment, is being able to help other people.
Okay, so getting in front of TV, it ain't easy. People, I say ain't, like, because I'm from Philly, I say ain't.
Well,
it ain't, but
you use it well, actually.
Ain't easy. It ain't easy, man. It's tough being comfortable on camera. So how was the transition for you? Obviously, it's one thing to perform as a musician, but how was the transition to becoming the host?
Well, I think Idol helps. I mean, once you're on American Idol, you are thrown in front of a camera. I mean, a camera follows you to the bathroom, it follows you to the bedroom, it follows you. I mean, the whole, there's 10,000 at that point in time, reality TV was, you know, it was just kind of getting off the ground. So there was a lot of access that cameras had to your private life, your personal life, obviously your public life performing. So with Idol being kind of like Hollywood 101 and crash course in like 6 months, you know, I at that point in time, you either have to get used to it or you don't do it. So Idol helped transition me from just strictly a musician to a TV host, and luckily I've been around TV for a good while now.
I totally forgot to ask you before we went live. Do you have your harmonica with you?
You know what?
Yes!
I always carry
Yes!
that thing, and I was carrying it on the vinyl red carpet.
So I totally forgot how good a harmonica player you were, and we were like prepping for the interview, and I'm like, oh my God, he better bring his harmonica. Yes! Oh my God, that's so cool. Like, how do you learn that? Walk me through like, how does it all work?
Well, you listen to a lot of old classic music, like Supertramp. You listen to, you know, a lot of old blues, Mississippi Delta blues singers. And for me, I learned kind of unconventionally. I learned off of like air conditioners and airplanes. So I was like listening to blues at the same time, but I played this thing all the time. Made my parents, drove my parents insane. But it takes practice, you know, and I'm still learning a lot about this instrument.
What's your favorite thing to play? Play it for me.
Well, I just like the regular blues riff.
I could hear you adjusting your breathing. That was so cool.
Yeah, you know, you have to use a little diaphragm, and you have to be careful about what you eat because you don't want to, like, you know. But this instrument, I love it. You know, it's very handy. I've been able to sit in with some of my most favorite bands over the years with this thing because it's not like carrying a cello around.
When did you realize music was your thing? Like, when did it become, this is what I want to do for my life?
I think once I started getting into this particular instrument, because I've always sung, and I think everybody's kid can sing at some point in time in their life, but when you start really getting into an instrument and starting to mimic sounds from other songs, you start developing an ear, and then it moved to acoustic guitar. So once I started, you know, teaching myself these instruments and writing, I think that was the path that I knew that was chosen for me.
We said goodbye to American Idol this year. Is it, having been a part of its legacy, was it weird for you to see something that launched your career go away?
You know, it was a little weird, but the way that they let the show just happen and the way that they celebrated the show, you know, 15 years of television, I never had any idea Seinfeld was only on for 10 years. And so that historic show and the way that they celebrated the end of it was, you know, it's helped me in my career.
With the new show, what was your favorite place to go eat?
I'd have to say Maine. You know, going and getting on a lobster boat in Maine. I mean, obviously from Alabama.
You're making me hungry just hearing this, man.
But when you live you grow up in good old Alabama all your life. You know, when you think of places like Maine and like Seattle and Washington and like all of these crazy places that you never thought, they're like Mars. They're like different planets. So when I was able to go to a state like Maine and actually get on a lobster boat and actually pick that lobster up and talk with that fisherman who's been doing that so long, it really just, it makes me really proud to come from this great country, because people do that all over the country all day long, and they've been doing it for generations and generations. And steamed lobster right off the boat's not a bad thing to eat.
How about the most overrated food that you had?
I would have to say pizza.
Yeah, it is, right? It's so overrated.
Yeah, it's a little bit. There's a lot of ingredients that go into. You could put a lot on it, but I like a good pizza. But this show, State Plate, we cover all the bases in each state, and I think people are going to love it.
I got to ask you, I've been finding out from everybody. We're going through this crazy presidential election, man. What are your thoughts on what we're seeing right now? We just had this third debate yesterday. What are your thoughts?
I feel like that it's kind of like American Idol.
It's a hell of a comparison.
I think if you really want to make a difference, then you got to get out and vote. And then that's the democracy is the thing that holds this country up. So you got to choose. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, you don't.
Now that you're doing the hosting thing and the music thing, which one do you like more?
Right now I love hosting television. I mean, you've obviously been in it and had success.
Thing. It really is the coolest thing in the world, man.
Yeah, I love it. I'm just now. I'm kind of really new to it, so I'm learning a lot about it, and I'm learning, just how to get more comfortable and. That's something that I've always kind of wanted to do, is host a show, but this is the perfect opportunity with State Plate.
Dude, you're awesome. Congratulations. Thank you for
Thanks.
playing the harmonica.
Oh, yeah, man.
Everybody make sure to catch this guy's new show. I'm going to tell you, I know it premieres sometime soon. Oh, Friday. I got notes being thrown at me. It's Friday, October 21st. Make sure to catch State Plate.
Congrats, on INSP.
Man. INSP, man. That's a place to catch it, 21st. Dude, congrats! You're a class act. Thanks. We were gonna do like this, and we switch. Anyway, catch Taylor's new show. All right, guys. That guy's awesome. Next up is another one of the most popular shows on television, Quantico. It's ABC's big hit, one of the most diverse shows also on TV, and it was also at Paley Fest. And it launched Priyanka Chopra into the stratosphere of American fame and television, because she's just so talented. We caught up with her and the whole cast. Check it out. So what's everybody getting with the rest of the season?
Oh, it's going to be bigger, better, sexier, and definitely much more complicated, which we love about this show.
I love what you're doing. You've broken barriers in Hollywood right now. Talk to me about having the influence that you are now having in this business.
Well, I'm just really excited that my work has been acknowledged, who I am has been acknowledged, and it has nothing to do with where I come from or what I look like, and that's always a really great feeling, that people love my show, and the kind of love and acceptance that I've got being in another country is just awesome.
I mean, really, I call it the Shonda Rhimes effect. I mean, Shonda Rhimes, who of course created Grey's Anatomy and How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal, she kind of really started doing that and really pushing the envelope. And what happens once you see that you can diversify a cast, and it can make money, and it can be successful, and it can get good ratings, of course people are going to take note of that. So I haven't talked to Josh Safran, our creator, about that, but I mean, it's changed the paradigm. It's a paradigm shift in our business.
This season is so important in today's times. Things are really heated right now, and I just think it's beautiful that we have people from all over the world, all different walks of lives, coexisting and getting along together so beautifully.
What do you think it is about this show that keeps the fans coming back?
I think it's this and these women that are on it, and they're so wonderful and from all over the world, that's exciting. It's exciting to see, and it's not just, a person who's from somewhere, but you see their lives, and it's interesting and it's fun, and I think people respond to that.
It's brilliant to be here. It's brilliant to be part of the old crew, and I'm one of the new guys, and I'm being included. That feels very nice. I'm quite proud of that. This is a cool venue with a lot of heritage, and you see all the shows that have been in here and done panels, and we're now added to that roster. It's a proud day for Quantico.
It's such a great show, guys. Make sure to catch it on ABC every Sunday at 10 o'clock. And one of the things I love about it, look how diverse the cast is. That is the message we need to send to Hollywood. Diversity all the way. All right, guys, we had an American Idol winner in here, but there's another super popular singing contestant show. It's called The Voice, and this week it announced that judges will be returning for the next 2 seasons, including Gwen Stefani and I believe Miley Cyrus. Well, one judge that made a huge name at the beginning of The Voice was Ceelo Green, and I recently caught up with him, and I had to ask him, is he coming back or what? I want to know what's next for you, Ceelo. I miss you on The Voice, man, but what's next for you?
Well, I've been talking out loud lately about possibly going back to The Voice. I definitely think about it a great deal. I just recently had, recently landed a situation with Sony Records. I'm now CEO of situation there.
That's awesome.
So I'm working, I'm doing so much. I'm like the jack of all trades. You know, I really don't know what's next. A lot of music, a lot of new music, possibly a return to The Voice. You hear me? You know, so I don't want to speak too prematurely about anything in particular, but I'm wide open to just be utilized in the most remarkable way, and I still got a lot of love to give.
Please bring Ceelo back, NBC. He was so great on The Voice with his cat. I just want Ceelo's cat on the show. Wish he could judge, but Ceelo's awesome. Bring him back. Let's start a petition. Okay, guys, for those in my field, our field, as hosts, the greatest honor that you can receive as a TV host is to be entered into the Broadcasting and Cable Hall of Fame. Did it last year, and they honored such luminaries as Kathy Lee Gifford, Dr. Phil, and many more. This year was no exception because they inducted the NBA on TNT team, including Charles Barkley, one of my favorites, and they also gave the Presidential Award to New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft, who helped single-handedly change broadcasting in the NFL. It was hosted by Larry Wilmore, one of the funniest guys in the business. So what better than to catch up with all three of them and talk about the honor? So when you look at the power in this room, who are some of the people you're excited to actually see in person?
You know what? Actually, this is going to sound weird, but I'm a huge basketball fan, so I can't wait to see the inside the NBA guys. I mean, you got Shaq, Charles, and Ernie, and Kenny the Jet all together. To see that whole team together is actually kind of cool.
You're one of the few athletes that has been able to make such a successful transition to TV. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think people respect the fact that I'm always going to be honest. I'm never going to lie. Might get you in trouble at times, but I can deal with the trouble. But I think the people I want to relate to, they're like, if Charles tells us something, we can believe it.
When you look at what broadcasting has become, isn't it insane, even in the last 10, 20 years, the evolution? Talk to me as a football owner, what has that evolution meant to you?
Well, it helped to make our game be so accepted. You know, when we came in, the Fox network really hadn't developed, and they used sports programming to grow and develop. And then you see all the mediums and all the ways that people get our programming and social media and the impact we have. We're still the #1 appointment television programming in the world, I think, at least in America. And it's always changing, and we see it right now. And how millennials consume is a lot different than I or you consume. Although you might still be a millennial.
Oh, I'm 20 years past the millennial stage, Mr. Kraft. Man, I wish I was still a millennial. I'll take that as a compliment, Robert Kraft. Thank you so much, although 20 years passed. Well, from media personalities like the ones we just saw who are making a positive difference in the world, we had an enormous story this week. Actually, it's now been 2 weeks. That is a complete opposite end of the spectrum. I'm talking about the Billy Bush scandal, the Donald Trump video that he had that was leaked from Access Hollywood. I believe now it's 11 years ago. I've been asking a lot of different people about their thoughts on what's happened because he's been ousted from the Today Show. But the one that really struck a nerve with me was when I caught up with two journalist legends, Maury, Povich, and Connie Chung, and here's what they told me. I want to know your thoughts on this whole thing.
Billy was wronged, totally wronged for being fired by NBC. Good gosh.
Well, he wasn't fired. He was just asked to leave.
Got a payday.
That's happened to me. I didn't get that kind of money.
It's fascinating to hear that from a woman, obviously, because you're hearing such an uproar from women saying what he said was wrong.
I know. No. What Trump said was wrong. Billy was a young reporter. I mean, what do you think reporters do? They draw out the best and the worst out of people. And
he
Billy
played along.
Sure he did.
Yeah, that doesn't go over when the Today Show has the women audience. It does.
I know, but they shouldn't have put him out to pasture. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy. He made a big mistake,
and And he apologized.
By the way,
he apologized.
if it happened on Access Hollywood, I don't think he'd be out of their job.
All right, so I want to take a moment and talk a little bit about this because this is my field. As a young reporter, I can sympathize with Billy Bush, and I agree with Connie Chung here. Not that I'm saying the stuff that Billy Bush or Donald Trump said, because let me first state, I cannot say it enough. You cannot advocate the way Donald Trump did for anything with sexual assault or sexual violence towards women. That was wrong. But in Billy Bush's defense, when you're a young reporter and you're around celebrities, I've been doing this 3.5 years, so I know, you always want to draw the best out of them. And the way you do that is by making them feel comfortable, by sometimes being part of conversations you don't necessarily want to be part of, by subsiding your opinion because what they're saying you may not agree with. I don't know what he could have done in that situation. Do you stop the interview and say, well, Mr. Trump, I can't really talk about this, or there's really nothing he could have done without alienating Donald Trump, which would have been bad both on him and for Access Hollywood. I do believe that the Today Show had no other choice but to do what they did, but this is definitely going to be a groundbreaking situation for journalism moving forward, no matter how you look at it. Crazy, crazy stuff, and that's just my 2 cents. I can tell you who is having fun with Donald Trump right now are the late night shows. One of them is hosted by Trevor. No, it's called The Daily Show, and I caught up with Trevor and his cohorts, his correspondents, to talk about how much Trump is creating good material for him. What has it been like going through this insane election process hosting the show?
It has been an embarrassment of riches creating the show and being there from the beginning of Trump all the way to what will be either the end of Trump or the end of America has been extremely exciting and frightening at the same time. It's like I'm in a movie and I don't know what the ending is going to be. And so I go, do I spend all my time petrified or do I enjoy some of it? Because either way it's going to end. I don't know what to do. All I know is comedy is the one thing that gets me through it. So I just got to make more of that and hopefully get people through the election. Let's see if we're here on the other side of November 28th, as Trump says.
What are the conversations in the writer's room about this insanity?
I think we're all just trying to wrap our heads around it. I feel like we're normalizing the evolution up until like 1940. And so I think there's an inherent sadness because I'm like, I felt like we were farther along than we are, but everything is just degrading to the point of bickering and just throwing mud in a way that it makes me mostly sad. That's what we try to find humor to lift us up and to get that paycheck at the end of the day so we can get some booze and kind of drown away the sadness.
You're part of one of the best news franchises on TV. Talk to me about being part of The Daily Show.
Man, it's very rarely in your career do you get to be a part of something that's both funny and meaningful. It's usually you got to kind of pick or choose. And The Daily Show is one of those things. It's both, and it's an institution. And I can't believe, I'm still like, wow, this is amazing. We get to cover this stuff, and we get to reach millions and millions of people. It's pretty incredible.
Trevor is doing an incredible job in his first year, but talk about winning the lottery when you take over The Daily Show. You couldn't have asked for a better gift wrapping than Donald Trump. Keep killing it, Trevor. You're doing a great job. Amazon continues to kill it with their original content, and they have a terrific new show on the way out. It's called Good Girls Revolt, and it centers around a landmark lawsuit that happened in 1969 at Newsweek. It was the beginning of the revolution for women in the workplace who wanted to fight for their rights, equal pay, and fight against inequality. This new show shows us those women, and it was based on a book written by Maury Povich's sister, Lynn Povich. So here's what the cast told me all about.
You know, the cast is so wonderful and so well cast. I can't picture anybody else in any of their roles, and I think that the creators had such a good eye for casting this, that everyone's so perfect, and it's such a beautiful, empowering story for women, and I feel like it's something that we really need to hear right now, especially with all that's going on in the world. So I'm really proud of it, and I hope that people will respond to it, and I'm anxious to see it myself.
You know, there's a woman named Jessica Bennett who's currently a reporter for the New York Times, and she in 2009 was working at Newsweek and was paid less than the male interns who were hired at the same time, and was promoted more slowly than the male interns who were hired at the same time. So I just think it's a show that's set in 1969 that couldn't be more relevant.
And you're the old guard on this show, man. You're the guy holding everybody, holding these female protagonists back, right?
Well, I'm not holding him back as much as, he's not a bad guy. He's not ignorant. I mean, he's the senior editor of Newsweek magazine. He's just holding on to what he knows. Just a certain protocol that has always been. But he starts to open up a little bit, which is great to see.
Talk to me about having a female-driven show, because we need more of those right now.
Yeah, well, we need not just about the subject matter, but also the people behind the cameras, because I think that when it comes to, you know, everyone's talking about diversity, and that's great, but it's not just about who's in front of the camera. It's also it also matters who's controlling the narrative, who's telling the story, from the writer, directors, and execs or producers. So this is one of those projects where we had so many awesome women at the front lines of telling the story. And yeah, we do need more of that across the board.
I played a young Nora Ephron, just starting out as a journalist. She was very fiery, very wise. She was a woman who lived her work, and yeah, very tough and smart, and I think would have a lot to say right now if she were still with us. So it was an honor to be her.
The show's getting great feedback and great reviews, and you can watch it in its entirety on Amazon starting October 28th. Well, guess what, guys? Amazon, on Amazon. Well, Amazon's not the only streaming network that's crushing it. I'm getting my streaming networks confused. There's so many. Hulu, Netflix, Amazon. But Amazon's not the only one killing it right now, because Hulu is also killing it. And they have a great new show called Shut Eye coming out. It's Jeffrey Donovan, TV vet with Burn Notice. Everybody loves him. It's got Emmanuel Shrieky and a legend with Isabella Rossellini. And what better premise than a con artist who has a chain of psychic outposts, and then he starts having visions all to himself. Crazy stuff. Here's what they told me about it. What are people going to get when they see this show?
I think they're going to get a veil lifted on a very crazy, gypsy-controlled tarot card psychic shop world that they didn't know was been hiding in plain sight this whole time. How many times have you driven by and you've seen the psychic sign, a neon sign, and go
every block in New York,
and you go, I wonder, should I go in? And no one does, you know, because you're a little afraid. I think people are going to be fascinated with what really goes on behind the scenes of that psychic shop.
I don't know how many of us actually have walked into those parlors. So I think a glimpse behind that curtain.
I walked once into the parlor. Only once in my life. I was living in Italy very happily. And the fortune teller said, you're going to cross the ocean and live in another continent. And I said, and here I am. I lived here for 46 years.
You guys are both TV vets. Talk to me about getting involved with the show. What drew you to this specific project?
For me, I gotta say that I was intrigued from day one in the script. I just had never read anything so unique. And of course the characters, you know, they're all just really eccentric, left of center, cool, unlike anything, I think unlike the way any of us actually are.
I read the script from beginning to end, the pilot, and I said, wow, this is really interesting. I read it again, and then I tried to figure out, what's interesting about the character that I'm going to go for, and how he could actually kind of explode into the storyline that's there, and it was just script.
What's it meant to partner with Hulu?
I love the idea of being in this wave that is the new time of the way we deal with content and how we watch and view things. And they also are willing to take risks, which I love, that you don't have a hard set time of minutes that a show has to be. You have what the show requires in the amount of time you want to tell that story. And I love that. I love being a part of something like that, because it seems like a small thing, but it's actually quite big when what you're interested in is storytelling. And I also think that it's the beginning of something that is really shifting in terms of viewer content and how you have access to it, and I love that.
This show sounds like so much fun, and it's going to be out later this year on Hulu, so make sure to check out Shut Eye. So you guys get to see all the finished interviews and the finished product, and we try to make me look as professional and as good as possible. But people always say, is it really as smooth as it looks? And I can tell you it never is. So what we've decided to do is compile our top 5 moments of the week that you haven't seen that will hopefully make you laugh. Here they are. At number 5, Ray Santiago from Stars' Ash vs. Evil Dead gave me his best Pablo faces. You can't touch this body. Ready? Let's do another one. This is great. I want to just do this the rest of the interview. Ready? All right. What do you mean she doesn't want me?
Doesn't want you, Hefe.
At number 4, Sci-Fi's The Magician's executive producer John McNamara left me speechless. Tell me everything. What happens next?
No.
Moving along to number 3, red carpets can be tough sometimes. Certain women star Billy Crudup had to power through some serious distractions.
How lovely the memory of that is. And his own experience was quite difficult and, during a very difficult period of time. And I'm sorry, the gongs
It always hits at the funniest times. It's gonna be done now.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's a 10-minute warning.
That's a 10-minute warning. Okay, good. For our movie?
Yes.
Sweet. I should really know that stuff.
At number 2, Gilmore Girls star Yannick Truesdale reminisces about his most memorable fan moment.
Oh, the weirdest thing that I just remembered now. I'm in Beverly Hills. I'm going to my dentist office, and they're behind, and they're calling me and say, can you arrive 20 minutes later? And I go shopping, and a very chic Beverly Hills Rodeo Drive woman stops me, and she goes, oh, you. And she grabs my arm. I was like, what have I done? She's like, hold on. She goes through her purse, shows me her cell phone, and my face is her screensaver.
That's awesome.
I was like, what? Why do you have my? She's like, we all love you at my house. My daughters and I, we all have your face on our cell phone. So I thought that was kind of strange, but flattering, obviously.
And this week's top moment. I challenged Hamilton star Brandon Victor Dixon to a freestyle, and this is what happened. I'm going to give you three random words. Let's see if you can in any way put them together. You ready? God. Chair, rope, tomato.
I'm sitting in this chair about to eat some tomato soup. I don't know. Maybe I'll eat alone or with a group. We're gonna get together. We're gonna have some fun. They're gonna try to get away, but we'll rope them up before they run. Hey! Hey! Yes!
That was awesome!
Yes!
I can't believe you just did that!
I can't believe I just did that!
I told you guys we have some fun off camera, and that was the 5 that we picked. You can't even imagine how many we had to go through. Well, from fun to a not so fun topic. In New York, the media community is a very, very small one, and especially the red carpet community. We all work together almost every night. We all get to know each other, and a lot of us become friends off of camera. Well, we lost one of our own this week. He is a red carpet legend. He spent 25 years interviewing the biggest names in New York, and his name was Jeffrey Slonim, one of the pioneers of written journalism in New York on the celebrity side. We lost him at 56 years old, and I wanted to just take a moment and pass on my condolences to his family. He has 2 sons and a wife that he's leaving behind. He was one of the greats in this city, and it was an honor to share the red carpet with Jeffrey Slonim. R.I.P. Jeff, you were one of a kind, and we'll definitely miss you. All right, guys, well, that's it for another exciting episode of Behind the Velvet Rope Live. Make sure to check out our digital site at behindthevelvetrope.tv. Go get our app for your phone or on Apple TV. And we're going to be back next week with another exciting round of guests. An enormous thank you to Taylor Hicks for joining us in studio and all of our guests this week. We'll see you next Thursday, guys.